Hello, my name is Dr. McDaniel. I'll be teaching your course for you. This course that we're looking at is 1530K Online, Statistics. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and about the course. So quickly, I've been teaching here since 1993 and full-time since 1995. I've been teaching everything from basic math up through the business calc sequence and a graduate stats class. I have been teaching primarily for the last 12 or 13 years, since 1999, these prescribed courses. And what we've done with 1530K, it's exactly the same thing as 1530 with one exception. We have put in a unit of algebra that will primarily support what you're learning from the statistics in 1530. So there's not a lot of difference. The content is exactly the same with the additional unit of algebra, like find the slope between 2 points, things like that. And I want to briefly describe how the course is set up. So this is the online version of the course. We use something called My Math Lab. You will either buy a code for the book, for the course, or you can buy a book that comes with a code. Either way is fine with me. The course is set up this way. So you will watch a video lecture that I've created. Often this video lecture will contain some sort of self-assessment quiz. Make sure when you select this that you actually select that you want to take the quiz. Even if you don't, you want to make sure you select that. That way I know you're watching the videos. You'll watch the video, take good notes. I've got notes pages up there for you. Take good notes. Then you will do the online homework. The online homework is set up very nicely in My Math Lab. You can do these problems an unlimited number of times until you get them correct. There are a lot of help aids on the right hand side of the screen that you can use to help you solve these problems, and I will show you those in a moment in another video. So the course is set up this way. Once you do the homework, there are some online quizzes, there are some online tests. There are at this point 2 proctored tests, a midterm and a final. So you will need to schedule that with the testing center. Even if you're not taking it here at MTSU, you still have to go through our testing center to get them to send the proctor the password to get into the test. So make sure you get those set up well in advance. One of the biggest issues with students not succeeding in the online course is they get behind and they don't finish. Most people who actually finish the course actually end up succeeding, as well as my on-ground statistics courses. So you're in good hands. I've been teaching online since 2001 or 2000, I can't remember, but a long time now, so I know how the environment works. Here's how the course is set up. So you have basically 2 halves of the course. The first half of the course is primarily looking at descriptive statistics, mean, median, mode, graphs of those like pie charts and bar charts, a little bit of graphing, looking at something called regression. The calculator and computer does most of this. So this reminds me of something else, is statistics is not the same as it was 20 years ago. 20 years ago, you had to do lots of formula memorization, lots of hand calculations, using tables in the back of the book to compute to see if something was significant. We basically don't do that anymore. We use the computer to do most of these calculations and the calculator. Make sure you get the calculator for the course. You may have been coming out of Math 1000 where, while it was required, it wasn't really essential in the course. It is essential that you get this TI 8384 calculator. I cannot emphasize that enough. So the first half of the course, mainly descriptive statistics, a little bit of the algebra, and then after midterm, we start doing what's called inferential statistics. We start looking at confidence intervals. You've seen these with polling data. We look at certain tests, the normal distribution, things like that. So make sure when you log into the course that you meticulously go through the syllabus and the outline. You ought to print that outline out, put it beside your computer so you can know when the due dates are. A couple of notes on due dates. This is all in the syllabus, but I'm giving you a little visual here of this. There are homework, quizzes, tests. The homework due dates are soft due dates. So if something is due on Thursday, it's okay if you turn it on Friday. It's a little bit of flexibility we have with the online class. The quizzes, they're not quite as soft of a due date. So the quizzes, there's an attempt penalty. I give you 5 attempts on each quiz. The quizzes just have 3 questions. And there are several quizzes. About after every section or so, there's a quiz. Just 3 questions. They don't have any help aids, but you can do each quiz up to 5 times if done by the due date. Let's say you have not done it at all, and then the due date passes. I will open it back up and I will limit the number of attempts to 1. This really encourages you to get that quiz done by the due date. And finally, we have tests. So the way the tests work is this. So there are 3 online tests. You have to take the practice test before taking the test. And you have to also score at least a 50% on the practice test before you can even attempt the test. You will get 2 attempts on the test. But let's say you take the test and you get a 50 on the test. That's not very good, right? It's unacceptable. So you go back, redo the practice test, or better yet, you're going to hit what's called the study plan. And I'll mention this later on once everybody is enrolled in the course and that kind of has a little more familiarity. You go to study plan, it'll generate problems for you to do based on what you've missed. It's pretty cool. So you'll hit the study plan, then go back, take the practice test until you get the grade you want on the test. Then take the test the second time. The midterm. So the midterm and final are 2 proctored tests. You'll need to get these set up. Do not delay on this. I will try to send reminders out on this. But go ahead, particularly if you are somewhere off campus, we want to get these set up. I'll be holding the midterm. It's on the outline on campus at a couple different locations, or I think 2 separate locations, one for the midterm, one for the final. So make sure that you look at that. And on the midterm and final, the average of those 2 has to be above 60%. So make sure, let's say if you get a 50 on the midterm, hopefully you'll do better than that, but you would need to get at least a 70 on the final before I will take your average into consideration. So hopefully that makes sense. I will go over more of that in detail once you're kind of into the course and don't have so much on your mind. But you need to succeed on the midterm and final. The reason I'm doing this, to be honest with you, is that I've had students in the past that get hundreds on every online assignment, but a 0 on the midterm and final. This is completely unacceptable, right? And yet still, because of the way it turned, the way they're weighted, they end up passing the class with a D. They may not essentially get a 0, but they get a 20 or 25 on a multiple choice test, which anybody can do. So this is a way for me to sort of objectively measure that you're doing your own work. It's okay to get a little help, but you want to do your own work, particularly on the test with here. So that's that. Go through the syllabus. I will go through the syllabus as well with you in an online environment here in the subsequent video. So I look forward to working with you. If you have any questions at all, email is the best way to get a hold of me. scott.mcdaniel@mtsu.edu. Okay, I want to welcome you to the course, and I'm going to show you how to get into the actual course using MyMathLab. So you're going to go to mymathlab.com. And you're going to come over here and click on Student. You need to register for the course. Now, if you by chance are repeating the course, you still need to go in here. And no, you didn't. You can go in here to sign in, and you can sign in with the access code that I'm going to give you. So pretend that we've already gotten our access code. And so you will either need to buy the access code online, or you will need to buy a book that comes with a course access code. Okay? You'll only have 1 or 2 courses listed there. You'll click on the course. It'll look something like this. I may change the color of some of these links here, but just want to give you an idea. I'm going to really quickly go through the syllabus. Being an online course, you're going to be expected to read a lot more than you would maybe in an on-ground course, so make sure you read through this. So here I am, Scott McDaniel. Phone number to call. I respond a lot better to email, though, so definitely send me an email. Not sure about my office hours quite yet. I'll let you read the description. Learning outcomes. We're going to be doing a lot of statistics and a little bit of algebra in this course. So the algebra topics are something like find the slope between 2 points, graph this line, things like that. The text, here's the text you need. The text comes, you've got a couple options. You can either, as I mentioned earlier, you can buy the textbook at like Phillips Bookstore, the on campus, or the couple off-campus bookstores, Beat the Bookstore and Blue Raider Bookstore. It should come bundled with an algebra book. If you decide to only do the ebook, there is no ebook for the algebra. Now, we don't do a lot of the algebra, and you don't really need the book. For me, I like being able to turn the pages of the book. So I'll leave that up to you which way you go there. You'll also need the 83 or 84 plus or plus graphing calculator. It doesn't have to be the plus. Any of the 83 or 84 models will do. You will definitely need this. Okay, in order to receive a passing grade in the course, you must achieve an average of at least 60% on the midterm and final. If this is accomplished, then the final grade will be assigned for the course will be based on the total points earned. That is, these two proctor's tests, if you were to average those together, it needs to be at least a 60. So let's say you made a 50 on the midterm, you would need at least a 70 on the final before I begin to look at everything else. This is just a way for me to keep the integrity of the course. I've had a problem in the past where people will get hundreds on everything. In the midterm and final, they get essentially a 0. So there was something up there, right? And this is just a way for me to objectively not let that happen again. And that person passed. Tests, there are 3 online tests. So 3 online tests here. These can be taken at the comfort of your own home. You can take them wherever you want. Same with the homework and quizzes. I give a practice test before each test, including the midterm and final. You have to at least get a 50% on the practice test before you can even attempt the test. So make sure you do those practice tests. Each test has a chance of being cumulative. So think about that. I'll also add 5 points to your test done by the deadline. This is test 1 through 4, not the final. And then, let's say you're taking it by the deadline. You get 5 points, you just keep moving on. If you have to take it after the deadline, I'll give you a 3-day grace period where I don't take anything away, but I don't add anything either. After that 3-day grace period, I'll just deduct 10 points from that test grade. So make sure you get these tests done on time. The homework due dates are more like soft due dates. So if a homework assignment's due January 20th, you can do the 21st, 22nd. It's not that big of a deal. However, there are some quiz due dates. So make sure on these quiz due dates that it's kind of an attendance policy here on the, not an attendance policy, an attempt policy. So there's an attempt penalty. If you can get it done before the due date or by the due date, you get 5 attempts. If it's after the due date, you can still do it, but you only get 1 attempt. Now this is better than me not opening up at all. So you do get 1 attempt. It's kind of the, I'm trying to give you a little incentive to get these quizzes done by the due date, yet trying to be a little flexible in your scheduling. So really do your best to get those quizzes done by the due date. These discussions I will talk more about later. I'm hoping I can get these into my math lab rather than D2L. So I'll talk more about those as the semester goes on. And they'll be counted as homework. Practice test, again, I've already mentioned that. I'm trying to take too much time. Midterm, it's a proctor midterm. You'll need to schedule that with the testing center on campus at MTSU, so you can take it on campus at MTSU at a testing center, or if you are far away, like if you live in Chattanooga, you can take it in Chattanooga at one of their community colleges. Generally is what students do. So contact me if you're going to be taking it off campus, and ultimately I will tell you to contact the testing center, and they will help set that proctor up for you. They may make you find the proctor, and they'll help get the password there. Final exam, worth 250 points as well, and you'll have 2 hours to complete that. Grading scale, this is a traditional grading scale, 90 to 100 is an A, and so on. And here's how you figure out your average in here. This is once I determine you have a 60% on the midterm and final, an average of 60% on both of those, then I will use this formula here to figure out your final. Basically, just take your total number of points and divide it by 1,000. That's your grade. I'll let you read through some of this. Don't cheat. If you have any disabilities that require accommodations, let me know about that early. Read these email do's and don'ts. Here's some resources: tech support, True Blue Pledge, and here I am in the office. Okay, I went through that much more quickly than usual. Outline. I've got a course outline. You should print this off and post it right beside your computer. Okay, so I've got kind of a weekly. This is the homework when you should be doing 1-1 and 1-2 this first kind of half week that we have. And I also have the quiz due dates over here. You should definitely highlight these. You don't want to take these quizzes late. So here are the due dates on the quizzes. These are also posted in my math lab, and I'll show you where those are. Okay, test I tried to highlight in red as best I could. So it looks like we go pretty fast in the beginning, but this material is not as hard as toward the end. We're going to need some time to absorb some of this stuff, so that's why it's weighted the way it is. Okay, let's close that out, Okay, so what are you going to do when you come into the course? You're going to print off the syllabus, print off the outline, read through those meticulously, and then you're going to go and do the first section. So I've got this broken into statistics and algebra. When you see on the outline the words alg, that's the algebra section. So we start off with statistics. And here's number 1. So I've got a video for you to watch. I recommend printing off these PowerPoint notes. You don't have to, but it's a good way for you to take notes. So you print off the PowerPoint notes, and then you watch the video. So let me click on this first one here. Okay, so we're going to click play. It's going to ask you, most of these videos, the algebra ones probably will not, but the statistics ones will, for you to take a quiz. You definitely need to click this big blue button that says watch video and take quiz to get credit for this. So you just put your name in here, whatever it is, Elmer Dinkley, and then elmer@dink.com. Put your real email in there, then click watch video and take quiz.
Wanted to welcome you to the first video in the series of...
And so you will watch all this until you end up hitting a quiz somewhere. There are anywhere from 1 to 5 or 6 quizzes within here, just sort of self-checking mechanisms for you to see if you're kind of pay attention to the video. And I get those, I'll get those emailed to me usually every night. I'll get an email that has who has done what. Okay, and the next one you'll watch part 2. So sometimes I'll break these into parts. Then you go to 1.2, so you can look at the outline to see what you're supposed to do. Occasionally I'll kind of putting it together. Well, I'll try to summarize all these little disparate topics that we've been doing. So once you've watched the video in 1.1, you should do some homework in 1.1. So click on the homework link. And here's 1.1 through 1.2. Some of these sections in the beginning, it was hard for me to parse out. So those first 2 sections just have 15 problems. Click in the first chapter, to be honest with you, there's really not a lot of problems to solve. Most of them is terminology. What's a descriptive statistic? Define statistics, things like that. Okay. So you can click on these particular ones. If you need to view an example on one like this, you can click View an Example. And an example will pop up. And you can kind of walk through some of these. These are a little bit more meaningful when it's an actual problem to solve. And you want to see a bunch of green checks on this once you do them all. And you can do the homework problems over again until you get them right. So maybe I should go ahead and do one of these and miss it and show you what it looks like. Okay. No, it'll try to give you a little hint. Let me just show you what happens. And then try again. You can try it again, and once you get it correct, it will... there we go. And then it kind of gives you a little summary of the correct answer, and you'll get a green check. So you can do the homework problems over again until you get them correct. And don't try to bypass the spirit of that. Don't just keep guessing until you happen to get it right, because you won't have these help aids when you come to the quizzes. Okay, so when you get to the quiz, you can click on Quizzes and Tests. You can also kind of navigate up here and click on the quizzes. And you can click on Ready to Start. And these quizzes, I believe, all have 3 questions. I call it the 3-question quiz in the on-ground class, and just kind of translated that over here. Again, you can do these quizzes, not each individual problem, but you can do the whole quiz over up to 5 times. It's as if it's done by the due date. After the due date, you can still do it, but just one time. Okay, so you can check your grades here. Now let's say you don't do so well on the quiz. You can click the study plan, and this will generate problems for you to do based on what you've missed. And so you can practice certain ones and kind of take these little quizzes that they give you. And I highly recommend doing the study plan if you are confused on the quizzes. Here's the ebook. You can tap on that, and you can drill into any part of the book that you want. So if you need help in 1.2, you can watch a video presentation. This is not mine. This is a textbook publisher level video. But if you wanted to actually open up the book, you can open up the book. Looks like my pop-up blocker was trying to block that. I think it opens up in the background somewhere. Here we go. And there we go. So this is exactly the same thing you would get in the book. This edition's a little, not this book, but the format's not the best. It's hard to print off. It's a little hard to navigate. But nonetheless, that's the ebook. I don't really refer to it a lot, but some students really like being able to read that. If I had the physical copy of the book, It's invaluable. So make sure you get that if you think you need it. But I never refer to it, and I go through everything you need to know on the videos. Tools for Success, you can tap in, click in here. You can look at videos on certain things, on cards, formulas, applets, graphing calculator resources. I'll post my own in here. You can click on the help pages if you need help with the calculator. Okay, this is a page I've created, so here's some statistical topics, and I'll add more in here as needed. You know, how to do a linear regression, how to do a scatter plot, etc. And here's the discussion board. Here's where I'll post some discussion topics. You know, if you've got a bio, I'll ask you to post a bio the first day, etc. Okay, so that's a quick rundown of the course. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time doing that, but I really look forward to working with you. If you have any questions at all, email is the best way to get in touch with me.